What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Marshall JCM 2000 TSL100. Let's do it, Gary. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle and I take all sorts of high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and dudes whose t-shirt sleeves are comically short, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my future uploads. Thanks! Alright guys, so today we have an amplifier on the channel I am very excited about. This is my own personal Marshall TSL100. This is part of the JCM 2000 series, and as far as I'm concerned, this thing is a very misunderstood and underappreciated beast. So pretty much any time that Marshall has come out with a new series of amplifiers through the history of the company, it has kind of been met with pushback in the time that the amps are introduced. For great example, the JMP line, when the JCM 800 line was introduced, people thought that they were a little thinner, they weren't as loud. When it went from the JCM 800 line into the 900 line, people thought that the 900 high gain dual reverb were super buzzy and super thin sounding compared to the 800. But what seems to happen to Marshalls over the years is the amps kind of become not necessarily cult classics because everybody really knows about them, but they start to become more understood. They start to become more appreciated. We have seen that happening lately with the 900 series of Marshall amplifiers. And in my opinion, the 2000 series, those are my favorite mass production flagship Marshalls that have ever been put into production. And this may surprise a lot of people because as far as Marshall goes, it pretty much seems the JMP line is like the gold standard of Marshall amplifiers. And I have a 1978 JMP. I absolutely love that amp. But for a guy like me, somebody who is basically focused more so on high gain tones than anything, but still likes to get a little bit dad rocky at times, I think the JCM 2000 is really just the perfect combination of the Marshall high gain modded tone plus that old JMP or JCM 800 2203 sound. You kind of have the best of both worlds in that amplifier, especially if you really work with it. You can get great sounds out of either channel. So with the TSL100, this is the 3-channel version of the JCM 2000 line. We've got a clean, we've got a crunch, and we have a lead channel on this amplifier. And at the time that this amp was introduced, it was fairly high tech, having 3 different foot switchable channels. We've got some power amp stuff going on over here that is also foot switchable, deep switches, voicing switches for either the lead channels and the clean channel, all with separate EQs. And on the back, there are actually 2 different effects loops. And this amp came with a foot switch that basically let you access all that on a single foot switch. So for the time, it was a very well-featured amplifier when it was introduced, which I believe was 1997 or 1998. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there. But a lot of people seem to have an issue with this amp because they found it to be, much like the 900 high gain dual reverb, very thin and buzzy. It just didn't quite get those classic full-bodied Marshall crunch tones that people were after, and they didn't bond with the lead tones either. But I am here to say this is an absolutely fantastic amp for pretty much anything high gain related. I have to agree, I think the crunch channel on this amp is a little bit lacking in my personal opinion. I think the green channel from the JCM 2000 DSL50 behind me sounds quite a bit better, but if you're just going for those crazy high gain tones, boosted high gain thrash tones, a little bit more of the new metal or the modern metal stuff, I think that the lead channel on this amp does a great job at nailing all those tones. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the actual demo. And for that intro clip, I was using my LTD Phoenix 200 with the Seymour Duncan distortion In the bridge, we were boosting the front end of the amplifier with the Electric Eye Mud Killer, one of my favorite overdrives. We're gonna turn that off. We are going into a Mesa traditional 4x12 cabinet with the stock vintage 30s from 1999, SM57, right up on that V30. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we are gonna focus on the high gain tones, including thrash and hardcore tones. So if you're not into that stuff or your name is Gary, then you might wanna click off this video now. But otherwise, glad to have you here. So first off, let's jump over to this green channel. Let's see if we can actually get any sort of appreciable gain tones out of this. I don't even think appreciable is a word, but we're gonna go ahead and take it and run with it. So I've got everything at noon on the clean channel, including the gain. That is a true clean. Let's go ahead and push that gain up. Woo, that boosted the volume quite a bit. As you can see, there is no breakup on the green channel whatsoever, which means we're done with that channel. So we're headed over to the crunch channel. Everything again is at noon here, including the presence over here. I'm gonna start with that deep switch out of the circuit. We're gonna have that tone shift switch out of the circuit, and here's what we got. Very, very bright right off the bat, pretty harsh. Let's pull that treble back. And honestly, we have a good bit of saturation to start. Let's actually pull it back. So that is almost like an AC/DC type crunch tone there. Really just into that overdrive, just past that edge of breakup with the gain down around 9 o'clock. Again, this is a high output pickup. So if you're doing something or playing something with more of a PAF low output style pickup, you'll probably get better results in that low gain area. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put it right back up to noon. And honestly, it doesn't sound bad. Let's go ahead and push that gain up though. We're gonna go right to 3 o'clock. This channel is sounding better than the last time that I remember playing through it. We've got quite a bit of saturation to start, and even with that deep switch out, we have a good amount of low end, which the red channel on both the DSL and the TSL, they get a little thin in the lows unless that deep switch is engaged. So I'm actually gonna roll the bass back a little bit, and let's get a little bit more mids on that. Nice clarity there, nice string separation. Let's go ahead and push that gain to the max on this channel. I don't remember why I thought this channel was lacking the last time I played it. This actually sounds really good to my ears. We are going to need a boost in order to get it into our thrash metal or hardcore territory. Let's start with a classic. Let's start with the Boss SD1. I would say this has about the same amount of gain as a JCM 800, but with that gain dined, it's not getting super fat and flubby like it would on a 2203 or 2204 circuit. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna push that bass back up, and I'm gonna pull those highs back even more because this is a bright amp. It really is kind of like just enough saturation. Let's get a little bit more low end. I'm gonna add a little bit of presence and pull that mid back just a tad. Dude, sounds good. I love Marshall amplifiers. So I think that actually sounds really good, as I just stated. Let's go ahead and push that deep switch in, see how much of a difference that makes in the low end. Man, this amplifier sounds good. Let's do the old classic, add a little gain from the actual pedal in order to increase the saturation, much like people would do if they were playing a JCM 800. We got lots of punchy low end. We've got lots of string definition and clarity, just the right amount of mids. Amp sounds incredible, guys. I have not played through this thing in a long time, and I'm really loving it. Sadly, I sold it to a viewer. Billy, hope you enjoy the amp once you get this thing. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm kicking myself for selling this right now. Let's play a nice little thrashy riff. Yeah, it sounds awesome, guys. This channel sounds incredible. Let's turn off that SD1. Let's hit this thing with something that has a little bit more gain to it. The Walrus Ages is a very high output over. Dude, this is fun. Let's kick that tone switch or the tone shift in. I do not like the switch at all. At the time that these were being made in the early 2000s, nu metal was all the rage, and so were just overall kind of that really scoopy tone. So that really scoops out a lot of the mids, and even if we bring in a lot on the EQ, they never really come back. So not my thing. I do not like it. That is all that I'm gonna do on that. Let's play a downtune riff real quick, and then we'll move over to the lead channel. Still nice and tight, sounds great down in D standard. I love it, I really do. Let's go over to the lead channel. Everything is currently at noon, no overdrives out front, and the gain is at 9 o'clock on the lead. All right, so that's bad. Let's go ahead and push that gain up to about 11 o'clock. As I mentioned before, this channel is very thin unless you kick in that deep switch. Let's put that gain up at noon. All right, so I think we got to pretty much right away kick that deep switch in and get those lows going. All right, so now we have a little bit of a low end push going finally. Let's go ahead and push that gain up even more. We're about 2 o'clock. And everything is fairly balanced the way that it is set right now. On Marshall amps, I typically find that I like to pull the treble back a little bit and kind of add highs through the presence control. All right, so we're getting there, and this channel I think benefits from a little bit of mid-range push, so we're gonna push it up to about 6 on the dial. But it is, with that deep switch in, it's a little woofy. But when you pull it out, you just lose all of your low end push. Let's go ahead and push it just the bass control. The bass knob is now maxed. Really, really wimpy, so I'm gonna pull the bass back to about 11 o'clock on the dial. We're gonna put that deep switch back in. And that's a little bit better. But yeah, that was one of my main complaints before I had my DSL50 modded. That deep switch, I turned it into an adjustable, a variable pot, which Marshall then did on the DSL100H and HR reissues that they released down the road. They turned the deep switch into a resonance. And because I think that the deep switch on is just a little too woofy in the frequencies that it enhances, if it's off, then the lead channel tends to have no balls whatsoever. So with that being said, let's go ahead, let's push that gain a little bit more. We're all the way up to 3 o'clock, no boost. So honestly, it sounds great with no boost in front of it. And again, let's hit it with the SD1. Let's turn the gain down on the SD1. Let's go to the Mesa Grid Slammer. Sounds okay, but I don't like the frequencies that is accentuating. Sounds okay, but I don't like the frequencies that it accentuates. We're gonna go over to that Mud Killer again because I felt like that was a nice pair with this amp. Yeah, dude, that boost works great with this amp. Let's go ahead and roll those lows up. Let's get just a tad more gain. Ah, yes. Okay, so we got the lead channel cooking now. Let's check this out on a downtune riff. All right, so you know who's a big fan of this amplifier for hardcore tones? Hatebreed. You know who's a big fan of Hatebreed? Me. Last but not least, guys, let's hear this amp with some active pickups and then we're gonna call it a day. All right, guys, so I have my Jackson Randy Rhoads V here with an EMG 81 in the bridge. Let's hear how it sounds. So we've got lots of gain, lots of saturation and compression, but we're missing some low end. So let's get this fat knob rolled back. Let's let some more lows through. All right, finally, crunch channel, high gain, lower tuning. Out of tune or not, that is gonna do it for me today. What did you guys think of the TSL 100? Do you really think that it deserves the hate that it gets, or do you think it is an excellent option for high gain tones, both modern and classic? Let me know down in the comments and I'll meet you guys down there to chat about it as always. If you would like to support the channel, you can help me out by visiting my affiliate links in the description. If you need to pick up any new music gear, both Zounds and Sweetwater are affiliates of the channel, and anytime you guys use those links, it greatly helps me out. And again, if you like the video, hit the like button on the way out. If you're not subscribed, would really love to have you along for the ride. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.